courtesy of Call of Duty YouTube or Twitch channels on Wednesday at 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern. You can catch this guy with his friends hosting Call of Duty Next, an in-depth look at the highly anticipated blockbuster video game Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Our friend RG3 back here on the Rich Eisen Show. How are you, Robert? Good to see you.
Hey, Rich, I'm doing great, and always a blast to be on your show. I appreciate you having me on.
Anytime, as you know, absolutely anytime. So, all right, before we get to your Call of Duty-ness, what do you think the Steelers should do at the quarterback spot, RG3? What do you think?
Yeah, Rich, I think it's super simple, and I think they knew this all along. You start Russell Wilson. Justin Fields in the perfect world for him, right? If you're just talking about his career.
Yes.
Russell Wilson goes out, doesn't play that great for 5 games. Justin Fields is able to come in while the season still has an opportunity and the Steelers still have an opportunity to make the playoffs and leads them to the playoffs. What does that do for Justin? That allows him to resurrect his career. He now becomes the quarterback of the future for the Pittsburgh Steelers, and it's all gravy after that.
So
if you go ahead.
You go ahead. No, if you sit him, then what? It's the opposite. It's not very good.
Yeah, but if you sit him and Russell plays his tail off, right? Leads them to the playoffs. I don't want to go so far as to say they go to the Super Bowl or whatever, but if they go to the playoffs and they play well, how old is Russell Wilson? He's not going to be playing for another 10 years. Right? So Justin gets an opportunity to now grow and develop within the Steelers culture. Yes, it puts a little bit of a damper on the immediate future of his career, but he will have an opportunity to grow there. And I think the Steelers will commit to him to allow him to grow. If you start Justin Fields first,
yes,
and he goes out and plays bad for 5 games, his career's over as a starter. So to me, I think Mike Tomlin understood this, maybe front-facing to the media and to guys like myself and you. He'll say, hey, it's an open competition because you have to as a head coach. But he knew all along who he wanted his starting quarterback to be, if indeed it is Russell Wilson. And I don't think that there's a problem there. I think that people in our business have a problem with Russell Wilson. They don't have a problem with the way Russell Wilson plays because last year he had a top 5 touchdown interception ratio. Now, I watched the tape, and yes, he took some unnecessary sacks, but you can't replace that top 5 touchdown to interception ratio just because you don't like the guy. So I think this is the perfect plan for both quarterbacks. Let Russell play. If he gets the job done, it's great for everybody. Maybe not the immediate future of Justin, but if Justin goes out and plays and he lets it and it's not great, his career is essentially done as a starting quarterback in the NFL.
Why do you think the media writ large, Robert, feels the way they do about Russ? And I know you're smiling. Now you're smiling. Your reaction knows that that's like a spinning curve in the Aaron Judge heat zone for you. But go ahead, Robert. Go ahead.
Rich, it's some people don't. I'm not one of those people, by the way. I've got a great relationship with Russ. I think that some people in our business don't believe that he's a genuine guy, or they believe that he's too perfect, right? He tries to say the right thing too often. I don't think that. I just think it's his personality. He understands that being the CEO of Russell Wilson Enterprises and being the CEO of whatever team he's playing for is important, and what he says and how he operates matters to people that are even beyond himself. I think that some people wish that Russell would just, I don't know, go to the club with him or something, or hang out and smoke some weed or something. But that's not his personality, and I respect that. He's always been that way. From the very first time I met Russell Wilson when we were rookies in 2012, he was the guy that I see in Pittsburgh right now. And listen, the man loves going to children's hospitals and giving back to the community. What is wrong with that? He loves his wife. He loves Sierra. He loves his kids. What's wrong with that? I don't think that you have to be what everyone else wants you to be. You just have to be yourself. And I think Russell is being himself. I just know that there's some people out there that don't like that.
Well, just chop this up a little bit more here. Because, again, I am with you. I've known Russell. He was one of our, when this show was just a mere podcast on NFL Network, he was a guest that was a late ad for our season kickoff because he got the gig in Seattle. When it was, like Matt Flynn's job. It was supposed to be Matt Flynn's job, right? He got the gig. And I'm like, I got to see what this kid's all about. And he was terrific. And then he showed up on NFL Network on Game Day Morning, one of our playoff shows. he was first in. He was first in, and he beat me to work. He was showing me up, and then he, after appearing on it, sent a handwritten note with an autographed jersey to me, thanking me for the experience, as if I was the one who hired him or let him. And so he is first class all the way. I have seen all that. But I think some of the things that rub people the wrong way, when you're saying that they feel like he's a little fugazi, and in this particular instance is that he's showing up to Pittsburgh and saying black and gold, here we go. In the same way that he showed up to Denver, like Broncos country, let's ride. Like where where he shows up, he's going to say his Go Hawk stuff worked in Seattle, so he's going to do that in Denver, and he's going to do that in Pittsburgh. And the Denver and Pittsburgh stops and the end of the Seattle stop have not been the same of the Go Hawks era. And maybe he should try something different. Instead, I think Stephen A. even had a similar point of saying like he should act like his career's on the line. And instead, he just does it the way that he does it. And I think that rubs people the wrong way.
Yeah.
Robert.
And Rich, this is why you're one of the best in the business, man. Not only have you always been great to guys like myself and very supportive of the guys that are coming up, you can understand and talk through the intricacies of these situations. Russell is doing what Russell has always done. If I was to tell you, hey, your job or your career is on the line, act like it. What does that even mean? Are you now supposed to be shaking in your boots? Are your fingers supposed to be quivering when you grab the mic? Because you know that based off what you say next is a do or die moment for your career. Like a guy, one of the greatest quarterbacks we have ever seen in Peyton Manning said, pressure is what you feel when you don't know what the hell you're doing. Right? Russell Wilson knows what he's doing. He's doing what he always has done. I listened to Paul George go from, Indiana to OKC to the Clippers. Now he's in Philly. And guess what he's done? He's done the same thing every single time. Hey, I really want to end my career here in OKC. Hey, I really want to end my career here in LA. And then he leaves and he's like, man, I felt like I was on the B team when I was with the Clippers. Right? Like these guys, they're going to go to new teams. It's the new day and age of sports. You don't see the longevity of the Jerry Rices or the Emmitt Smiths, and even those guys played on new teams at the end of their careers. Russell is trying to do what he can do to connect with his teammates and the Pittsburgh Steelers fan base. What is so wrong about that? My question to guys like Stephen A., former colleague, a lot of respect for him, appreciate the call after everything that went down, my brother. What do you want him to act like? Like, saying that he should act like his career is on the line, what does that look like? Because I know as a quarterback, you can't walk in the building on eggshells like your career is on the line. You have to save face and let them know that you are unfazed, confident, and that you believe you're the guy for the job. I don't think Russell Wilson has done anything but that in his time in Pittsburgh. He's been confident. Calm down, everybody. Nothing to see here. We're just all competing, having a good time. He believes he's the best quarterback for the job. He's going to go out and either prove it or he's not going to prove it. But I don't understand what more he's supposed to do to prove to us that he doesn't know that his job's on the line.
Robert Griffin III, courtesy of Call of Duty Black Ops 6, noon Eastern time this Wednesday. You can catch Robert and friends hosting Call of Duty next. We'll get to that next after this question. We're talking about careers on the line. It's so important that the career starts off well. Not everyone can RG3 it. You know what I mean? Like, or whatever. What was it called when you were doing this on your behind in your first game with RG3ing or whatever? That was the phrase, right?
They called it griffining.
Griffining. That's it. I remember that. Not everyone can griffin right off the bat. So, but in order to do that, you need to have a line up front. You got to have some weapons around you. We saw what happened to Jacoby Brissett 6 snaps in last night. What do you think the Patriots should do with Drake Maye, who has definitely had a better end of the summer than his start, Robert?
Yeah, Rich, I mean, Drake Maye should be the quarterback. Drake Maye is quarterback one for the New England Patriots. It's clear as day. What you saw from Jacoby Brissett is what we've always seen from Jacoby. He will manage the game for you. He is an elite decision maker with the football. He's kind of the extension of the coach, right? When you put a quarterback out there that you're comfortable with, because he sees it how the coach sees it. But it's because of his limitations as a quarterback that he has to be that way. And I tip my cap to Jacoby because he has proven that he can be that guy. But Drake Maye is the guy that's going to help them with some of the deficiencies that they have right now, whether it be on the offensive line, whether it be the fact that their roster doesn't stack up to the roster of the Miami Dolphins. It doesn't stack up to the roster of the New York Jets. But at the end of the day, Drake Maye has to be kind of like the hope and inspiration that Tua has been for the Dolphins, that Aaron Rodgers has been for the Jets, and Josh Allen has been for the Buffalo Bills. The whole, Kendrick Lamar, Drake battle, like, hey, Drake's not like us. I kind of tweeted that out last week and said, yeah, Drake is not like us, but he needs to be like those guys, because I feel like when he is behind center, everyone else is more confident because they know, you know what, if I don't block this guy that well, Drake Maye might actually be able to get out of that. He might be able to make a play out of nothing. And right now, to me, he just gives them the best chance to win. They got to score points to win games in that division. And he gives them the opportunity to score much more points, ride the wave with Drake Maye. I will be the first one to say, Rich, I was fully on board with Drake Maye sitting out for an entire year because I watched him play last year and I called his games last year at North Carolina, especially one against Clemson. But I will go as far as to say, when the guy comes out and he outperforms everyone else in the quarterback room, you got to play that guy, especially when he was a first-round pick.
Robert Griffin III here on the Rich Eisen Show. What are you doing with Call of Duty Black Ops 6? What is the gig about on Wednesday for you?
Well, Rich, as an unemployed broadcaster, you got to find work wherever you can. You know what I'm saying? And listen, comedy is what we use, right? So that we can laugh about it, so we don't have to cry about it. But in all honesty, Call of Duty has been an incredible partner for me. This was all in the works and already signed and dated before anything happened last week with ESPN. And you know this, Rich. Sometimes in this business, brands or sponsors only want to be there for you when things are going great.
Right.
But in this sense, they stood behind me, said they wanted me to still come out and do this event. And now I've had the blessing to be on shows like Monday Night Countdown and call college games at a high level at ESPN, call the NCAA championships for the last 3 years with an amazing crew there. And now I get an opportunity to call an event in Call of Duty Next for the drop of Black Ops 6, a game that I feel like I'm the biggest fan in the world of. And I got to let everyone know, I'm not the best player at Call of Duty. I'm just not. But you don't have to be the greatest player at something or the greatest player at a game to be the biggest fan. So I'm really going to enjoy this broadcasting role with them to kind of do the play-by-play of what's happening and give my analysis of some of the greatest players in the world that are going to be at this event and competing and having a good time for this launch. And it's something that I really hold dear to myself, and really a dream come true. The game is going to launch on October 25th, and this event will be August 28th. That's going to be a lot of fun, man.
Yeah, again, that's noon Eastern time. Catch it on the Call of Duty YouTube or Switch channels this coming Wednesday. Listen, Robert, this just now means you and I have something else in common other than running 40-yard dashes that people talk about. Being sort of stunned by ESPN. I imagine this surprised you, right? It surprised you when this happened to you last week, Robert?
What a great question, Rich. What a great question.
Well, I mean, I was asked that all, and I was surprised. I back in it's 22 years ago, I was surprised, but
I would say this, Rich. What happened was, I am grateful to ESPN for all the opportunities they gave me, just like I know you were, but you had a much longer tenure there. So for me over the last 3 years to get to work, like I said, on Monday Night Countdown, the legendary crew with Susie Colbert, Steve Young, Booger McFarland, and Adam Schefter, and then the revamped crew with Scott Van Pelt, Ryan Clark, and Marcus Spears was a dream come true, man. Like, I didn't even know that was going to be something that I enjoyed doing so much, but I had a ton of fun, and especially connecting with the fans and the people behind the camera. Because you and I both know we're the front-facing people, but it's the people behind the camera that we work with that really make it all work. So that part of it, I'm going to miss those people. Because I don't feel like they get the love they deserve. And I try to make sure I point that out as often as I possibly can. But for me to say I was surprised, I'd already been assigned a team, Rich, in college football, was going to be back with my guys, Mark Jones and Quint Kesenick, and our producer, Kim Belton, and director Anthony DeMarco on the college side. And it hurt me for them Not because they need me, because they don't. Like, that's the thing about this business. Nobody needs anyone, but just because we were so close and we were kind of getting the chance to rekindle that fire. So that had already been assigned. And so to answer your question fully, because I love you, man, yes, I was surprised.
Well, listen, it's tough, certainly when it's your first major gig, right? Because, again, that was mine, too. I mean, they took me, ESPN took me from Redding, California, very small market TV, and changed my life. Changed my life, and ESPN was part of my professional DNA. It still is. I met my wife there, so my kids are technically ESPN babies, and I'm still very proud of that today, But I was stunned, and it made me, kind of feel unmoored, like I was cut loose. And trying to find a new identity based on the fact that I always thought ESPN was part of my identity was very difficult. And but the grass is just as green, You went home and hugged your wife and your kids just the same day as you did the day before when you were employed by them, and you know that. So I just wanted to say that to you, as we're having this conversation. And the grass is greener,
Nah,
you will
Rich,
find it.
I appreciate you saying that, and really, as you know, you probably got a massive outpouring of love from the fans when that went down, and I've experienced something similar with the outpouring of love from the fans. It really showed me that we were doing it the right way, having a good time. It's about informing the viewer, but also entertaining the viewer, and that was the re-emphasize statements that I kept getting from everyone, whether it be on social media or on YouTube. And I hope, that showed me that this is something in a business that I should be involved in and continue to be involved in. And, that's why we're going to be doing this sign you see behind me, Out of Pocket with RG3, doing a podcast in that realm. And our first guest will be dropping here in a few days. So hopefully the fans will continue to support us and have fun as we make our way through this tough time. But we'll be back, and we'll be back and better in no time.
Thrilled to hear that Stephen A. hit you up, too, because I remember I was on my honeymoon, because this happened to me just before I got married. And I was on my honeymoon, and I'm driving. My cell phone goes off, and Susie, my wife, picks up the phone and then hands it to me. And she does not like it when, I'm not hands-free. And here I am driving on the A1 in Italy with some Italian person riding my bumper at like 120 kilometers an hour. And why are you handing me the phone? It was Dick Vitale to tell me he was disappointed to hear what happened and wanted to talk. So he's kind of like the Stephen A. of my generation, Dick Vitale. So I'm glad to hear that. And, I appreciate you coming on here, and I look forward to seeing your next moves, Robert.
No, I appreciate that, Rich. And I got to also say before I bounce, just want to give a huge shout out, not just to the fans, but also all my colleagues at ESPN that reached out.
Awesome.
The support was overwhelming. Stephen A. wasn't the only one, but I want to just give a shout out to them. It's a tough thing, but I'm not the first person to ever get laid off. There's a lot more people who are dealing with bigger problems than I have to deal with right now. So taking all that into consideration, just want to give them a huge shout out. And anyone out there that is struggling with anything, just know I'm praying for you. We're in this together.
Robert Griffin III at RG3 on Twitter and Instagram. Thanks for the time. Everybody check out Robert on Wednesday, YouTube and Twitch channels for Call of Duty. Check out Call of Duty next. And, of course, Black Ops 6 is coming out on October 25th. Only 450 million copies in the franchise's history has been sold worldwide. Thanks for the time, Robert. We'll chat soon.
Appreciate you, Rich. God bless.
You bet. An Out of Pocket with RG3 podcast as well. Keep an eye and ear out for that.
Love that dude.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.